Okay, so for our first mini lesson, I'm going to talk to you guys about selecting which prompt you want to use to answer for your midterm essay and then writing your introduction paragraph. So if you look at our week's resources down here, you'll have all of our midterm essay resources are in there, which are mainly just our prompts and the rubric. Um, the rubric itself, I am guiding you through in these mini lessons how to make sure you're checking off all of these. And so we're going to start with the introduction and setting up our time in history, as well as making sure we have a good thesis statement. So the first thing you're going to do, obviously, is you need to look at the essay prompts and decide which one of these three prompts you would like to explore. I tried to give you some choice so that you can write about a topic that's more interesting to you. And it also makes it much more interesting for me to grade when I don't have to grade 40 essays on the same topic. So I'm excited to read different essays about each of these. I feel like a lot of you guys are kind of experts in the different settlements and how the colonies were different. So I feel like number one is going to be a pretty popular prompt when you're talking about the differences between English and Spanish settlements. You can go with Bacon's Rebellion, or you can talk about the Articles of Confederation, the problems inherent in that system of government, and then explain how the Constitution sought to address those problems, which I think the John Green video also covers really well. And the Bacon's Rebellion is covered well in his video too. That's why I don't film lectures, because I feel like his lectures are way better than mine could be anyway and cover the same stuff. So you're going to choose which prompt you're going to do. And then it's time to work on your introduction. You got to get started somewhere, right? So I am going to be posting this into your resources as well, but this is a sample outline for your essay. I'm going to tell you what I'm looking for in each type of paragraph, and the purpose of these mini lessons is really to walk you through that. So after you've chosen your prompt, you're going to start with your introduction paragraph, and every good introduction paragraph has three parts: a hook, a transition, and a thesis. Again, if you're writing for pretty much any social science or humanities course, this setup for an intro paragraph is wonderful. Whether you're writing a 10-page paper or you're writing a 5-paragraph paper, this is going to work for you. So the purpose of a hook is to grab your reader's attention. Okay, in this case, I'm going to be your reader. And so for a history paper specifically, I think a hook should be either an interesting quote from someone in the time period or about that time period. About time period for your paper. Right, so if you're writing about Bacon's Rebellion, maybe you'll choose to use a quote from Bacon to start your paper, and that would be interesting. So an interesting quote about the time period for your paper. You can just start by giving like an interesting fact about that time in history. You know, did you know in the year 1619, women and African Americans arrived on the shores of Virginia? That's an interesting fact that you could throw out there. Just something quick to grab your reader's attention. You can also tell a brief story. That would get your reader interested. Your hook can really be anywhere from about 2 to 4 sentences. And I say that for this paper. If I was writing a 10-page paper, I might even have like a hook that's almost a paragraph at the beginning to really get my reader into what I'm going to tell them about with history, and then I'll go into my other facts. But in this hook, the purpose of this hook is, again, grab your reader's attention, and you're also going to be seeking to kind of introduce them to the general place and time that you're going to be talking about. The transition gets even more specific in that, and in that transition, which should also be 2 to 3 sentences. Can you tell that I also teach middle school? Because, you know, that's their first question with everything. Well, how many sentences? How long does this have to be, Miss Aiken? How many sentences? So I'm letting you know how many sentences too. In that transition, which is 2 to 3 sentences in that paragraph, you're getting even more specific about the time and place that you're going to be describing in your paper. So I need to know, is this in the United States? So independence has already been gained in 1947 in Louisiana, or are we in Europe in 1200 in what will become Scotland? What do you have going on here? So in those 2 to 3 sentences in that transition, get specific about the time and place. And then finally, the most important part of this paragraph and really the heart of your essay. I feel like if this is good, the rest of your paper is going to be good. The thesis, 1 to 2 sentences. I'm a sucker for a single sentence thesis. I'm that kind of girl. It really helps me, and I'll be honest with you, especially for when you get people who are inundated with papers. A lot of the time, before I even read your hook and transition, I'm going right to the end of this paragraph to look and see what your thesis statement is going to be. The purpose of your thesis statement is basically your answer to the prompt. And it should outline what you're going to say in the entire essay. A great thesis will say, in order to better understand blah, 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 I'm going to examine blah, 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 and blah, blah. So then I know in those body paragraphs, those are the points you're going to hit. So my generic history thesis statement, and you can fill in the blanks here. This is especially for people who aren't real comfortable with writing. In order to better understand, let's say Bacon's Rebellion, one must examine. And so now I need to come up with the points that I'm going to cover in my body paragraphs. How many points depends on how long my paper is going to be. This is just a 3-page paper, maybe even 2 to 3. I'm going with 3 because I haven't looked at the syllabus in a minute. In a 3-page paper, I'm going to give myself, I think, maybe 4 body paragraphs just to be safe. So one must examine and then fill in the blanks. I'm not giving you those. You're going to look back at your resources and decide what are the 4 things that my people need to know about in order to understand Bacon's Rebellion. And once you line those out, then you are ready to move on to your body paragraphs, which will address each of those points that you've made in your thesis statement. If you are writing and you come up with your thesis statement and you're a little nervous about how it works, you do not have to follow my formula there. You can, as long as it answers the prompt and gives me some outline of what you're going to say, I'm fine with it. But if you're a little worried, like I'm not sure about my thesis statement, send it to me in an email really fast. I'll be totally happy to take a look at it and say like, yeah, you're on the right track. Looks good to me. Or, hey, let's tweak it this way so things will be a little bit easier. Okay, so that's it for the intro one.